Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and yes, I have a backdrop. Plus, I wanted to switch it up a little bit. I get really bored of my backdrops. I get bored of my hair. I get bored of my makeup. I like to switch things up. This story, actually, shout outs to this wonderful girl right here who pretty much asked for this story time. Wanted to know if I had any type of hair horror stories or just any bad hair experiences, and I got one. I got one. I actually got two. So I wanted to get my hair braided. You know, we all have that. It's like a seasonal thing sometimes. We just want to get our hair braided and leave our hair alone and do this protective style to protect our hair. Okay, so I'm calling up a few places trying to get the prices on, you know, how much it's going to cost for me to get my hair braided. I had a certain look that I was going for, which was this. So I call up all these places. And one lady picks up and she's, you know, I asked her, how fast can you get me in? And she said, oh, if you come now, I can start now. So I'm like, okay, cool. You know, how much is the price gonna be? So she told me the price and I said, I'll call you back. And I called all the rest of the places. So I'm around the apartment just doing a few things, you know, getting things together before I do decide to leave and get my hair braided. And all of a sudden I get a phone call and I'm like, you know, I pick up and I'm just like, hello. And it's the lady that I called before, and she was saying, oh, well, you know, you said that you needed me to get you in really soon, you know, are you gonna come now? And I'm like, dang girl, you really need the money, don't you? I'm like, dang, like you really need the money, because she called me up and she was kind of like, hey, you gonna come, you gonna come, you gonna come. I get it, it's their hustle, I get it, but it was just like, I don't know, because you're a little bit too anxious to get me there. She just seemed a little bit more desperate than all the rest of the women I called. So, you know, like me, I go to this lady because she said she can get me in as quick as possible. So that was a huge plus for me, because the other places, they were kind of, you know, a little bit further back later on in the day. So I did want to get it done and over with. So I went to this lady. Me and my boyfriend pull up to this location because I didn't even know where it was. And you guys, it looked like a tiny boxed house, and I couldn't find it for a good minute. And it just worried me, because like my nail salon experience, you really have to pay attention to detail, and I didn't pay attention to these details I'm about to share with you. Walk in the door and nobody's there but her, okay? And it's such a small, I mean, I can understand why there wasn't a lot of, I mean, it wasn't built to hold a lot of customers. That's what it looked like. It didn't look like a legit salon, but she was the only one that was working there. She's the only one that had a chair. So we walk in and she's just like, oh, well, what do you want to get done? And I show her a couple of pictures. Not only that, but I did point out pictures that she had up on the wall, which, you know, they just be pulling them out of a magazine. Not everybody, just because you see them advertised in the salon, in the area, it does not mean that they know how to do it, okay? I mean, come on. Now, I was probably naive just for believing that anyone could braid hair. I'm just like, how complicated could it be? If you know how to braid, then you know how to braid. So I kind of just thought that I can show her a picture and she can mimic that picture, versus being at a regular hair salon where you're actually doing a certain type of style that requires some technique. But I'm like, if you know how to braid, then you know how to braid. Big chunks, small chunks, micros, whatever it is a braid, right? So I show her the picture on my phone and on the walls that she has advertised around. After I showed her what I wanted my hair to look like, she was like, okay, I got, you know, I can do that. I know how to do that. I got you. And I'm like, okay, now you knew I had a scarf on and a hat. You know, I'm not gonna be walking around with a big fro. So I sit in the chair and, you know, I take my scarf off and my hat off, and, you know, she starts to get to touching on my hair. You know how they do. They gotta analyze it to see what they can do. Now me, I have thick hair. I have a lot of hair and thick hair. So she began like usual, and I say usual because this has happened to me every time I've got my hair braided. So this is by experience that I'm saying that the usual is, oh, we gonna have to upcharge you because your hair thick. This is a lot of hair. I cannot do accents, y'all. I cannot do accents at all. This is a whole lot. But she was telling me that my hair was just too thick. It's just too much. And she's gonna have to charge me, and she was acting as if it was just a whole lot, like it was gonna be difficult. And I was just like, bruh, like, what you trying to say? Like, if you've had a lot of customers, I know I'm not the only one that's had this type of hair before. She was making faces and everything. I washed my hair, deep conditioned it, and conditioned it again. Girl, bye, please. Don't try to act like my hair is too much for you. You should be qualified. You should be an expert. You should know how to do this. You should know how to make it work, okay? At this point, I'm looking at her like, okay, so you gonna do it or not? You wanna get paid or not? Like, make up your mind because you seem to be having some issues here. She was like, no, I can do it. It's fine, you know, but you're gonna have to pay before since you have thick hair. For real, she told me that I had to pay just because I have thick hair, just because, you know, it's a lot of hair. It's gonna require a lot of work. And I was just like, okay. Usually when I do get my hair braided, I usually do pay them before they finish my hair. But for her just to be like, oh, well, you have to do it before because your hair is thick. I wanted to ask her, has anybody else came in here with a fro? Like, I didn't have a nappy fro. Like, come on, like, I'm relaxed here. Really? She really did rub me the wrong way. So I'm just sitting there just thinking like, man, this may just be a mistake. Because when she gets to the edges, I don't know what she gonna do. I don't know how much anger she gonna put into them edges. At this point, of course, I was there for a couple of hours. So there were moments where it was just quiet. I was just listening to my music. She was just braiding my hair. And then it just got a little bit more awkward for me. She decides to take a break and she pretty much is like, you know, I'm hungry. I'm gonna go ahead and eat my food. And I'm like, okay, you know, that's cool. It's understandable. At this point, I wasn't going to tell her, no, girl, you can't eat. Get back on my braids. What's wrong with you? I wasn't gonna do all of that. I know when I'm hungry, I don't act right. I'm not myself. So I was just like, you know what, if you hungry, go ahead. You know, it's cool with me. So she warms up her food. She had some chicken and rice. You know why I know? Because I was over there looking on the plate because I was hungry too. Now she had rice and chicken wings. So she was, you know, eating the chicken wings. Now one thing I noticed was that she did not wash her hands before she ate. Just because it was so small. The location was so small that the sink was actually outside of the restroom. Like the toilet was in the door and the sink was outside the door. Why? I don't know. But I do know she did not wash her hands before she ate. So I'm just sitting there, you know, just I'm not gonna tell her, hey, you didn't wash your hands. I'm not gonna do that. Hey, it ain't none of my business. Hey, do you, boo boo, do you. She looked like she was enjoying her food, so I wasn't gonna, nah, it's none of my business. I'm good. I was just hoping that she remembered to wash her hands before she, you know, touched my hair again. So she's done eating and I'm just crossing my fingers. I'm just like, oh my goodness, Trinity, please do not, don't, like, I was just hoping that she didn't force me to have to say something. Like, don't force me to have to tell you to wash your hands. Don't force me to do it. Just don't do it, please. She licked all 10 of her fingers, y'all, all 10. And then she proceeded to grab a paper towel and, you know, wipe her germs off. Then she was walking towards me like, you know, I'm ready now. You know, she was laughing a little bit. She was like, oh, you know, thanks for being patient. You know, I had to eat. I'm sitting there in the chair watching her walk towards me. And I'm just like, just don't do it, lady. Don't do it to me. Don't do it. She started to touch my hair and I said, oh, excuse me. you know, excuse me, because you know, you gotta do it right. If you're gonna do it, then do it right. I was like, excuse me, did you wash your hands? Not to be rude or anything. She started laughing and she was just like, oh, I forgot. I was just like, oh, you know, it's no problem. I just wanted you to know I'm extra OCD. I'm not, but hey, gotta throw it out there. So I did see her wash her hands, and I was just like, you know what? I'm glad I said something. Now, whenever I get my hair braided, I always let them know, hey, not too tough with the edges. Leave the edges alone. Don't force nothing. Don't pull nothing. You know, they don't always have to be in the family, okay? They can be out. They can be outside the family sometimes. They don't have to always be in something. Let them free, let them loose, don't touch them. So I thought she had a understanding of this, but obviously not. She started to tug a little bit on my edges, and I was just letting her know, hey, you know, remember, you know, leave the edges alone. You know, don't touch them, don't force it. And she was like, oh, you know, I'm sorry, and she proceeded. And then, you know, we get up here. We get up here, and I have a widow's peak, which I do love. I'm not ashamed of it. And, you know, she just grabbed it right here. Went ahead and tugged on that widow's peak right up here. And I was letting her know, hey, you know, no, don't touch that area. And she was like, oh, well, that's not your edges, you know, or your baby hair. That's your hair. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't want it to be braided. You know, it's short. You know, like, you know, leave that part alone. I'll be fine. And she was just mumbling. She started to say, well, you're not getting your money's worth. You know, like you're wasting money. I'm like, bro, like, it is one braid. Are you kidding me? Like, what was this lady's problem? I responded and I said, hey, you know, it doesn't really matter. I don't want it to be braided. I don't want it to be braided. In a discussion, do what you need to do. Keep on braiding. Shut it up. I tell you that this whole experience was just so up and down. I shouldn't have even had to talk as much. You know, I had to tell her to wash her hands. I had to tell her to, hey, care for the edges. I had to sometimes clap back at her for certain things. Like, come on. I'm a customer. I should not have to talk so much. You're supposed to do what you need to do. I'm supposed to sit here and be comfortable as possible while you give me a headache. Because we all know that when you get your hair braided, fresh braids, you get a headache. Also, my braids were not the way I wanted them. Oh my goodness, like as I started to, you know, look at the braids, because you can see them, you know, falling on you, and then you kind of peek a little bit. And my braids were not thick all the way till the end. It was thick and then it became really skinny. And I'm like, bruh, at this, like, you are supposed to be good at this. You have this salon for a reason. Like, you braid hair for a reason. Like, you're supposed to know how to braid hair. You know you're supposed to add more hair on the bottom if it gets a little bit thin to make it even with the top part of the hair. Oh my goodness. Like, who doesn't know this? I know this. I just don't know how to do it. But I mean, come on, you're supposed to know this. I was not happy at all about the whole experience. The braid just felt extra crunchy. Like, it didn't feel like what I usually get when my hair is braided. I've had my hair braided a lot, so I know what it's supposed to feel like. And I don't know what type of hair she was using. Maybe it expired. I don't know if hair expires, but it felt like it expired. I was so over it, and I already paid her the money, so I wasn't gonna go back, and I wasn't even going to do that, because at this point I was just like, you know what, she did put time into this. I already paid her, let it be what it is. But I wasn't happy that I paid her a lot of money just to do something I didn't ask for, you know. Oh, but before I left, I did let her know how I really felt. Okay, since she got paid, she got, you know, she got the money, it's all done. Before I walk out this door, I was gonna let her know. I wasn't going to just walk out making her feel as if she did a wonderful job when she didn't. I had to let her know, hey, you may need a little bit of practice. You may need to, you know, go over a few more things, because this isn't it. Like, this isn't this doesn't reflect how much I paid you. So I did take time to let her know, just to, you know, let her know, and I left. And then of course I went home and fixed my hair. That's what I did. That is the end of my story. I'm never gonna go to this place anymore, and I do want to get my hair braided around the summer, and hopefully I have a better experience. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and like this video, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye.